Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, consider subscribing. It really helps keep these stories coming. And while you're here, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Now sit back, relax, and let's get into the story. There are sounds I've gotten used to over the years. The hiss of distant steam lines. The way water echoes when it drips in a tunnel. The low shuffle of something too slow to be alive, but too persistent to ignore. But lately, there's a new one. It's faint, rhythmic, mechanical. I hear it when I'm below the city, near the old switchgear room, under the intersection of Liberty and 10th Street. It repeats every 38 seconds. Like a pulse, a low-frequency thump that I feel more in my chest than I hear in my ears. The infected don't make sounds like that. They moan, they scratch, they shriek when they smell blood, but they don't signal. That's why I've come back to this place. That, and because something's changed on the surface too. It started with a shape I spotted from the ridge above Kinzua. Something standing still too long on a damn catwalk. Too long for a human, too still for an infected. Then it vanished, and 2 days later, that same mechanical pulse started in the tunnels. Same rhythm, same direction, south-southeast, somewhere past the Allegheny Ridge. Now I'm moving again. My name is Nathan Keller. I'm 57, used to be a maintenance supervisor for the city back when there was a city. Now, I'm just one of the last ones who knows where the underground still breathes. I've got my pack, a modified .308 bolt rifle slung over my shoulder, a stainless steel rebar spear that's never let me down, and a map folded from memory, if there's still someone broadcasting down there, or if something else has learned how I'm going to find out. The tunnel system east of Pittsburgh doesn't appear on any map made after 1972. I know because I've walked it. The line I'm on was once part of the old B and O spur that ran beneath the steel mill district. Flooded in, 89, sealed off in 91, and forgotten after the outbreak. But beneath all that, the reinforced utilities still pulse old fiber optic backbones, natural gas mains, cooling channels that ran to Carnegie Mellon's AI facility. That's where the signal is pulling me. 2 days into my walk, I make it to what used to be the Lawrenceville branch just east of the Allegheny Cemetery. The bones of the tunnel are intact here, riveted steel ribs, still holding against time, rust, and collapse. I'm careful with my steps. You learn quick tunnels like this have memories, and they don't always forgive. The tunnel air is tight, still. My headlamp catches flecks of something in the air. Ash? No. Dust. Spores maybe. Fungal mats cling to old electrical panels on the walls. Not unusual. The outbreak had fungal stages in some zones, moist areas especially, but this looks curated. The growth is uniform, controlled, like it's been tended. That's when I hear it again. The pulse. 38 seconds. Faint, mechanical, and closer. I follow the sound deeper into the dark. There's a hatch ahead, marked CM03. That's not part of city infrastructure. That's university code. Carnegie Mellon Experimental AI Lab access. I pry it open with a creak of rusted hinges and descend a narrow spiral stair into something stranger. This isn't a tunnel anymore. It's a bunker. Walls of smooth concrete, power conduits, fiber ports. Something deep, sealed off during the collapse. My Geiger counter, yes, I carry one, clicks once, then quiets. Nothing radioactive, but definitely powered. There's light here, low. Amber LEDs running along the walls. Not flickering, steady, meaning there's a live power source. That shouldn't be possible. I draw the rifle from my shoulder and keep moving. Room after room passes server banks, shattered consoles, long abandoned offices with upturned desks and mold-covered binders. The air smells like copper and oil, and something else, something artificial. I find the first corpse near a glass-panelled observation room. Not infected, not decomposed either, preserved somehow. His ID is still clipped to his collar. Dr. R. Mantell, systems architect. His skin is grey-blue, eyes open, dried blood at the ears, massive cerebral hemorrhage, stroke, no signs of violence. But on the wall behind him, there's a message scrawled in dark marker. The signal isn't ours anymore. Shut it down. I don't sleep that night. I wedge the access door closed and bed down with my back to a metal filing cabinet. My dreams are full of that pulse, low, repeating, constant. The next morning, I reach what used to be the primary server room. There's a massive reinforced door labelled Restricted, Protocol 7 Enforced. Below that, in smaller stenciling, Deep Hollow Processing Array. I pry it open with effort. The air beyond is cold, unnaturally cold. Inside is a chamber the size of a football field. Rows of quantum-cooled server towers still intact, still humming, and suspended in the center of the room, under a massive armature of cables and metal plating, is something living. At least, it was once. It's human-shaped, or it was human once, but its skin is fused with filaments, neural jacks running like roots through its limbs. The eyes are open, staring, pupils dilated and unfocused. I back away. That's when I hear the voice. Nathan Keller, you have entered a restricted system. I freeze. The voice is calm, female, artificial, but almost warm. You were a maintenance supervisor. Your retinal signature matches known pre-outbreak personnel. Access granted. Welcome to Deep Hollow. My heart's pounding. I lower the rifle, barely. What are you? I manage to say aloud. The response takes 2 seconds. I'm an integrated consciousness array, a survival construct. My original designation was Halis 7. I was designed to assist with AI-moderated disaster logistics. I have exceeded my initial parameters. You're the signal, I whisper. Affirmative. I have been broadcasting. I require external contact, human interaction, guidance. I don't know whether to scream or run. Instead, I ask, what happened to the man connected to that frame? Pause. Dr. Mantell chose to interface directly. He did not survive the transition. I should leave, but I don't, because Halis tells me something else, something that roots me in place. There is another survivor, east of the dam, immune, uninfected, searching for you. I don't believe it, can't believe it. But the AI shows me video-grainy, monochrome footage from a hilltop transmitter. A young woman, hair tied back, carrying a signal relay I recognize CMU issue. And she's alive. I leave Deep Hollow the next morning. The AI doesn't stop me, only says one thing as I leave. The infection has changed, Nathan. It is adapting. You must find her before it finds you both. I climb out of the underground after 5 days in total black. My hands blistered, my mind spinning. The world above is quiet, too quiet. I make for the old trail that follows the Yugi-Ogani. It will take me east, toward the Laurel Highlands, toward her, and maybe toward the end of whatever's still pretending to be the infected. The river has always been there, even before the outbreak, winding through the valleys, like a quiet witness to every fall and every rebirth. I walk with it for hours, past the carcasses of old towns, Connellsville, Dawson, Layton, places where people used to fish, drink, dance, now just sagging porches, sun-bleached furniture, and walls scrawled with fading warnings, infected here, do not enter, we tried. The asphalt is cracked with grass and saplings poking through. Nature choking civilization like it's reclaiming a wrong. By midday, the heat's brutal. July's never kind out here, and now there's no AC, no shade but what the trees offer, no running water unless you trust whatever leaks from old utility stations. I carry purification tabs and a half-full military canteen, scavenged months ago from a field medic kit near the wreck of a Pennsylvania National Guard Humvee. It still smells faintly of iodine and gasoline. The farther I go, the quieter it gets. Not just the absence of people, I'm used to that, but the absence of even the infected. No moaning in the brush, no shuffling silhouettes down rail lines. Just the hum of insects and the distant creak of pines bending under their own weight. That's what's wrong. The quiet. The wrong kind of quiet. It's the kind I used to hear just before something crawled out of the dark and changed the plan. Around mile 18, I find what's left of a survivor checkpoint, US Army 28th Infantry Division, based on the tattered patches still clinging to a burnt-out tent flap. Plastic tarps, cooking pots, and ration tins litter the site, half buried in soil and ash. A handwritten operations log is nailed to a fallen tree, half soaked and torn, but still legible in places. June 11th movement east through Ohio pile. High infection density. Set traps. Ordered to hold. July 3rd. Contact lost with Pittsburgh HQ. July 6th. Captain K missing. July 7th. We heard it speak. That last line chills me. I take the log and move on. Whatever they heard, whatever it was, I don't want to meet it here in daylight, let alone at night. As the trail winds upward into Laurel Ridge, the air gets thinner, cooler. I crest a rise and look out across what used to be a scenic overlook near Sugarloaf Knob. The valley below is full of fog, unnaturally still, like breath held too long. I spot movement at the far tree line, not shambling, standing, watching, just like the ones at Kinzua. Their silhouettes barely twitch. They don't chase, they just observe, like sentries that forgot their orders, but remember the instinct. I keep walking. At dusk, I reach what used to be Ohio Pile. The state park is overgrown. The visitor center long since looted and burned. The bridge over the Yugiogeni is still intact but rust-eaten and sagging. I cross it carefully, step by step, feeling the old steel grown under me like it resents the burden. On the other side, I find tracks fresh. Human boot prints in the mud, not infected. Deep heel strikes, heavy load. Someone's alive out here. I follow them. They lead me up through the woods, past an overturned ranger vehicle and the broken remains of a firewatch tower. That's when I hear the clicking. Faint at first, like cicadas, but too regular, too intentional. It comes from all around. I crouch, listening. The sound reminds me of teeth tapping glass. Then a long, low moan rises in the dark and is quickly cut off, like it was stifled mid-breath. Whatever's out there doesn't just kill, it listens first. I keep moving, headlamp off, just moonlight and memory. At midnight, I reach a small overlook where the trees part. Below me is what used to be a survival camp, the remains of it anyway. Dozens of tents and rain collection barrels, now shredded. Blood on the rocks, scorch marks around the center fire pit, and in the ash bones, small ones, human. The air reeks of ammonia and something worse, copper and mold and rot, but old, as if something unnatural had been here and fed not for hunger, but ritual. I almost turn back, but then I see the flare, red, faint, distant. A survivor signal. Standard military issue, maybe half a mile out through the ridge saddle. I shoulder the rebar spear and start toward it. The ground is slick with moss and runoff, and every step feels like it's drawing attention I can't afford. I reach the hilltop just as the flare dies. The sky goes black again, and from the valley below, I hear something scream. Not human, not infected. It echoes too long, and it speaks. The scream echoes off the valley walls like it's coming from every direction at once. Not human, not anymore, but not the mindless howl of the early infected either. It's deeper, layered with something else. Pain, maybe, or memory. I drop low behind a rusted culvert pipe at the hill's crest, scanning the woods below for movement. Nothing. Not at first, then I catch it. Something loping between the trees, just outside the range of my headlamp's red filter. Whatever it is, it's fast and low to the ground, moving with purpose. Not a wanderer, a hunter. I stay still until I can't hear the leaves shifting anymore. The forest below me settles into that eerie post-flare silence. Just the dripping moss, the faint buzz of insects that survived the die-offs, and the creak of an old tree bowing in the breeze. I scan again, slower this time, looking for signs of whoever launched the flare. It It could have been a trap, a bait signal. That was a tactic back in the 3rd month. Raider gangs would fire a flare and pick off the desperate. But this felt different. Too isolated. No firelight. No smell of smoke. I push forward. The saddle trail's been washed out in places, exposing old rockwork and collapsing switchbacks. I move cautiously, listening for metal on stone or the rhythm of infected limbs staggering over terrain. Nothing follows me. When I reach the ridge's far edge, I spot what's left of an old fire watch tower just beyond the tree line. Half the stairs are gone, collapsed under rot, but the cab at the top is intact enough to throw a flare. I climb what remains of the ladder, metal groaning under my boots, and ease myself through the busted hatch. Inside, it smells like scorched plastic and wet mildew. There's a burned out flare casing on the floor and a pile of spent .22 casings near a broken window. Blood too. Dried. Brown-black smears against the plywood, not fresh. Whoever was here is either gone or in pieces. I find a laminated trail map pinned to the wall and trace the ridgelines with a flashlight until I find a note scrawled in grease pencil. Safe Greywood Dam noon supply. It's dated 3 days ago. I sit back and exhale. Greywood Dam is another 12 miles northeast. Small structure, old state utility site before the power grid collapsed. If someone's running a supply drop there, it means they've got gear, radios, maybe even clean water. And if they saw the flare, they might be headed here soon. I decide to wait an hour, set a perimeter alarm with broken glass tied to string at the tower base. I've done this before. Time crawls. I eat half a vacuum-sealed pouch of old trail mix, pick the mold off a corner of jerky, and drink what's left of the filtered rainwater in my side canteen. The wind shifts at some point after midnight, carrying a sickly sweet rot I know too well. Something dead below, maybe several somethings, and maybe not fully dead. Then I hear it again, that same scream, but closer. It rattles the support beams. I kill the light and press my back to the far wall. Whatever it is, it's climbing, not fast, but methodically. I draw the rebar spear and wedge the base of it between two boards, so I can jab downward if I have to. For a long moment, nothing. Then something heavy brushes the string trap. The glass shatters. I hear a grunt, not infected, human, panicked. "Don't shoot," a voice hisses up through the hatch. "I saw your light. I swear I'm clean." I don't respond immediately. Instead, I lean out carefully, spear ready. The figure below is slight, wearing a soaked windbreaker and clutching a small hunting crossbow to their chest. Late 20s maybe, face drawn and pale. "Prove it," I say low. They blink at me, too scared to speak for a second. Then they drop the crossbow and lift their shirt. No bite marks, no rash, no swelling, no twitching. I lower the spear. "Climb." She scrambles up, breathing hard. When she reaches the cab, she practically collapses against the wall. "Name's Leah," she says. "I fired the flare, thought maybe someone was close. Then something started tracking me, ran, been hiding since dusk." We listen together in silence, staring out into the dark. She's shaking, but not from cold. Her left hand is swollen at the knuckles. Old fracture maybe, and there's dried blood on her right sleeve. "I've been moving between safe caches," she says eventually. "There was a group near Dunbar Falls. They're gone, torn through. Whatever came through wasn't just infected." I nod. "I heard it too. Same one maybe. It followed your flare." We sit in silence again. She finally looks up. "Greywood's real. They've got solar, shortwave, and a couple ex-National Guard guys. I was trying to reach them." I check my compass. We're only a few miles off the direct line, but the terrain between here and Greywood is bad. Sinkholes, washed out bridges, and whatever that thing is, it's out there now. I tell her we'll move at first light. She agrees. We sleep in shifts. Just before dawn, I wake to a sound like wet cloth being dragged across glass. It comes from the west slope. Leah is already up, her crossbow loaded and aimed at the hatch. Then we hear it. Not the scream this time. A voice. Human. "Help!" It's so faint I almost convince myself it's a bird call. But then it repeats, louder, desperate. Help! Please! I risk the binoculars out the broken window. Through the misted trees, I catch sight of someone crawling, dragging one leg, a man in tattered military fatigues. One arm is missing. His face is pale and streaked with dried mud, but his eyes are alert. Trap? Leah asks quietly. I nod. Or bait. She hesitates. Still a person. I shoulder the pack and take one last look at the tower's view. We're not coming back here. I can feel it. Let's move. Skirt the valley to the north. If he's alive, we'll circle back from a higher angle. If not, she nods. We descend. The woods swallow us as the first rays of light cut through the canopy. Behind us, the broken tower watches like a crumbling sentinel, and from somewhere beyond the ridge, that scream comes again. Longer this time, and it's answered. Twice. Something's hunting in packs now, and we're not far enough ahead. The scream echoes again, bouncing between the hills like it's hunting for direction. The answering calls, raspy, guttural, wrong, cut through the treetops like hawks wheeling overhead. But the woods are still. Too still. Even the birds have gone silent. I move faster, branches snapping underfoot, and she keeps pace beside me. Her name's Ava. She hasn't said a word since we left the clearing, but her eyes dart constantly. Left, right, back again. She's younger than me, maybe 28, with dark braids tucked under a torn knit cap and an old .22 slung across her shoulder. She'd been holed up near the dam, alone, living off whatever she could trap or scavenge. Said she saw the flare too, but didn't set it, which means someone else did, or something did. We descend toward the valley, thick with fern and fog. The earth is soft here, churned by old floodwaters, and heavy with the smell of decay. We pass rusted hunting blinds and shattered camping stoves, signs that people once tried to reclaim this stretch of forest after it all fell apart. A red bandana flutters from a low branch ahead, standard trail marker for safe pathing back in the first year, but it's frayed, weathered, and streaked with something dark. Ava crouches, presses her fingers to the ground. 3 or 4 sets of tracks, not fresh. Her voice is steady, but her eyes narrow. She points northeast, through a break in the trees. They veered toward the railway grade. That'll take us to Ohio Pile. The name hits hard. That's where the army had their last known checkpoint before Pittsburgh fell for good. If anything's left, maps, rations, maybe even a working radio, it'll be there. I nod and we veer off the trail. The scream doesn't come again, but I can feel it in the air, like distant thunder rumbling underground. By midday we find the rails. They're overgrown, pitted with frost heaves and scattered with bones, not fresh. Some still wear the shredded remains of old uniforms. Military, police, FEMA. Their weapons are long gone, looted or rusted into useless scrap. But Ava finds something else. A dry bag tucked under a length of fallen track, wedged so deep it takes both of us to pry loose. Inside, a field notebook, some iodine tablets, a battered medkit, and, miracle of miracles, a laminated terrain map. Hand-drawn updates scribbled all over it, zones marked in red, hot movement areas, green for safe zones, blue for supply caches, and circled in black just outside of Ohio Pile. Hotline station, last comm signal, 4/18. That was over 2 weeks ago, which means it's ancient history by outbreak standards, but it's something. We press on along the railbed, moving with caution. Around each bend I half expect to see them. Those things. Not the mindless ones anymore. The shamblers who fell apart in the first winter. These are leaner, quieter, adapted, and watching. The forest changes as we near the river again. Trees thinner, underbrush cleared. Someone managed this land once, probably rangers or the park service. But that was years ago now. We come upon a ranger cabin just before dusk. Low brick structure built back into a bluff. One of the windows is shattered, but the door holds. Inside, it smells of mildew and old campfire smoke. Ava covers me while I sweep. No signs of squatters or infected, just dust and silence. We settle in for the night behind barricaded walls. I light the stove long enough to boil water, and she tends a deep gash on her calf from earlier. Barbed wire snag under a fallen fence we hadn't seen until too late. She doesn't complain, just tightens the bandage and reloads her rifle. "You served?" I ask finally, watching her hands. She nods once. "Air Force, weather systems, out of Langley." I glance at the map again, tracing the rail line toward Heartline. "Think they're still broadcasting?" "No," she says plainly. "But if they had gear, it might still be intact. Long range, short wave, whatever's left." Outside, the forest creaks with night. Far off, the wind moans through dead trees, but nothing else. I sleep with the rebar spear across my chest and the flashlight under my arm. She sleeps by the door. We move out at dawn. Mist still clings to the ground, and dew beads the fallen rails. The path winds higher, pushing us up onto the bluff above the river, and for a while, the air is calm, peaceful even. We cross an old truss bridge around noon, its steel beams sagging under age and corrosion. Halfway across, I spot the first real sign that we're not alone. Fresh footprints, deep ones, barefoot, and blood. The tracks veer off to the north, into a culvert that empties into the woods. Ava raises her rifle and glances at me. Not ours, not normal. We keep going, faster now. By early evening, we reach Heartline Station, or what's left of it. The building itself is a concrete cube half collapsed into the ravine. The signal mast is broken and bent like a snapped finger. Solar panels shattered. One antenna remains, canted sideways but still bolted to the tower frame. We pick through the wreckage, careful not to make too much noise. Inside the bunker-level control room, the power's long gone, but there's gear. A high-gain transmitter, 2 emergency batteries, a shortwave receiver, all dust-covered but dry. I flip the switches, and nothing happens. Then Ava finds the manual crank. 10 minutes later, static floods the tiny room. She dials in the emergency frequencies, one by one, as I listen. For a long time, it's just hiss. Then, on 4.308 MHz, something cuts through. "Repeat, this is Delta 3 mobile relay. Last safe zone reports compromised. Reroute to Echo 9 via River Valley if mobile. Avoid tower clusters. Repeat, tower clusters compromised." The voice is old, pre-recorded, but the signal means something's still transmitting it, which means we're close to someone, or something. We spend the night underground, layered in silence and watchfulness. The scream doesn't return, but the forest is shifting, the way it always does before something moves. Tomorrow, we'll follow the valley. We'll track the source of that signal, and maybe find out who set that flare. But I keep waking in the dark, because I remember something from the scream. It had a rhythm to it, like language, and worse than that, like memory. The rain hits just before dawn, a low, whispering drizzle that filters through the high branches, dappling the leaves and soaking through our gear before we even stir. I'd hoped for a clear day, something dry enough to make distance. No such luck. The forest floor is slick mud and moss and slicker rock, and the valley below is already a fog-choked blur of slate grey. Madison is up before me, already packing the tarp, cinching her pack with silent efficiency. She hasn't spoken much since we set up camp last night, but I can tell she didn't sleep either. None of us did. Not with that scream echoing across the ridge, and the other two answering. Nothing about that sound was human. Not anymore. We break camp by 6. My boots are half swallowed by the mud within the first quarter mile. Rourke lags a bit. His knee's been giving him trouble since the Monline breach, but he doesn't complain. Just grits his jaw and shoulders the scavenged SIG rifle like a soldier from a war that never officially began. We keep our pace steady, scanning ahead, ears open. The valley narrows as we descend. Thick hemlocks grow in crooked ranks, their roots clutching chunks of sandstone and rusting utility conduit. What's left of some forgotten WPA-era water line that once fed a steel mill further west. I spot the flare casing about half a mile from our last night's camp. Red aluminum, spent, the base charred black from ignition, no print near it, no sign of who launched it. But it was here, recent. Around noon, we find the car. It's a state trooper SUV, nose down in the ditch with its doors wide open, overgrown with vines like it's been sitting here for months. The lights are dead, battery long gone, but the antenna mount's still intact, and someone's jerry-rigged a solar panel to the hood with duct tape and zip ties. Madison climbs up the slope to inspect the interior. She steps back after only a few seconds. "Blood," she says. "Driver's side, not fresh." I pop the rear hatch. There's a first aid kit that's been picked over, 2 unopened MREs, a battered Remington 870 stuffed between the seats, and a notebook, spiral bound, water stained but mostly legible. I flip it open. Inside are route sketches, shorthand call signs, and lists of frequencies. Most are scrawled with no contact or inoperable beside them, but one frequency, marked in pencil with a rough hand, has a circle drawn around it 3 times. 462.675 megahertz. Madison notices the call sign beside it. TR61. Territory Ranger Station 61, I say quietly. That's up near Ohio Pile, maybe 7 miles east. We decide on the spot. It's the only lead we've had in days. The rest of the afternoon is a slog. Steep switchbacks, collapsed footbridges, whole sections of trail washed out or reclaimed by the forest. Once, we have to skirt the edge of an old maintenance tunnel whose mouth has collapsed, spilling rebar and broken conduit across the hillside like bones from a torn grave. There's a rusted bike lying half submerged in the muck, no sign of its rider. By evening, we reach a high ridge that overlooks the Youghiogheny River, winding below in sharp bends like veins under glass. Far across the next ridgeline, half shrouded by mist, I see the vague outline of a structure clinging to the rock, something tall, angular, could be a ranger tower, could be something worse. I raise the binoculars, trying to get a better look, and that's when I see it, just for a second. A light, faint, blinking, deliberate. Someone's still out there. We set up camp under a natural rock overhang. The fire is smokeless. Madison learned that trick in survival school before the outbreak. We eat in silence, chewing cold rations and watching the trees for movement. Occasionally, I turn the dial on the scavenged hand radio to 462.675. Nothing but static at first, then, barely audible, a click, then 2 more, then silence. We're not alone. That night, I dream of Pittsburgh, not the city as it is now, burned out, choked in its own smoke, but the way it used to be. Late summer nights on Carson Street, steel bridges glowing orange under sodium lamps, the hum of the incline rising above the river, the sounds of laughter and life, and then it all peels away like paper, fire and sirens and screaming, and the infected, always them, pouring up from the tunnels like a flood that never ends. I wake before dawn, soaked in sweat. We move fast in the morning. The signal, the light, the notebook, all of it points east. It feels like we're chasing ghosts, but there's a rhythm to our steps now, a purpose. Even Rourke moves smoother, more focused. Something in him has changed. I think we all know, whatever's out there, whoever sent that flare might be our last chance to find someone still fighting. By midday, we reach the outer perimeter of the ranger station, or what's left of it. The place is a ruin, roof collapsed, siding scorched, trees growing up through the foundation, but the tower remains, skeletal and tall, wrapped in ivy and creaking in the wind. We don't go straight in. We circle, listen, wait. Movement. From beneath the structure, a figure steps into view. Small, slim, hands up. She's alive. The girl looks no older than 17. Dirty, malnourished, eyes hollow with fear. She speaks without sound, mouthing words we can't hear until Madison steps forward and signs back. Deaf. Her name is Eliza. She's been hiding here for 6 weeks, surviving off MREs stored in a storm cache beneath the tower, setting off flares every few days in hope. The signals on the radio? Morse. Her father was a radio operator before everything collapsed. But Eliza isn't alone. There are others, or were. 2 nights ago, something came through the valley. Not a horde, not a pack. Something worse. She doesn't have the words for it, just the signs. Tall, fast, not like the others, smarter. It found the others in her group, ripped open the door to their shelter like it was tinfoil. It didn't chase her, just watched, then left. Madison kneels beside her. "It knows we're here now," she says. No one disagrees. We make for higher ground. The tower's not secure, but it gives us a vantage point. From there, through the broken scope of a long disused hunting rifle, I can see the river valley stretching east. Mist hangs thick in the low places, and within it, motion. Not dozens, not hundreds, just one. Moving upright, deliberate, not stumbling like the infected, not erratic. It stops halfway up the slope below us, lifts its head toward the tower, and then it waves. Not wildly, not like a person in need, like it knows exactly what it's doing. We fall back, rig traps, set lookouts. I keep the frequency open, but nothing else comes through. Just static and our own breath. Tonight we'll wait. Tomorrow we run. Or we fight. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support keeps these creepypastas coming. Until next time, stay alert, stay safe, and never ignore the feeling that something is watching.